This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
Yeah, so great to have everybody with us again.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2023, here we go. Although Mercury is retrograde, do you know that?
I heard Dad mention that.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be where you, like communication is off, which is something I want to talk to you about today.
Mm-hmm.
Communication, you're supposed to like not really purchase big items, you're not supposed to sign contracts, things like that, because there's basically technology, communication, transportation, things like that kind of go haywire. So, you know, for those that follow that kind of stuff, they go, hey, take it easy, make sure you double check and triple check and all that kind of stuff. And for those that don't follow it, just might find themselves in a situation that go, what in the world is going on? Well, what's going on is Mercury's retrograde. That's
Okay.
what it is. Anyway.
So it's like the driving out at night when it's a full moon.
Yes.
Because I know you've told me this from experience, that, what was your words? The crazies come out.
Yes. Yes. And I have been one of those crazies in the past. But yes. Yes, absolutely. It's a different feeling altogether. When you're out and there's a full moon.
Mm-hmm. When you're having to drive somewhere.
Whew, yeah.
Yeah.
Doing shows on a full moon. Boy, is it different. It's kind of but audiences can be rowdy. So, yeah, it's not that I don't like that, because it's kind of fun sometimes, you know. But anyway, yeah. There's one thing that I want to talk to you about, and that is, I think it might be similarly. Did I say that right?
That's a word. I don't know how you're using it yet.
Similarly, like the podcast that we did that's called Switching Gears.
It's similar to.
Similar to. There you go.
Not similarly like.
Similarly, which I'm just like.
No, similar to.
Similar to the podcast of Switching Gears. And I really don't know which is going to come first. We're going to do a follow-up on that podcast, Switching Gears. And there are a couple of people specifically that I'm waiting to talk to that I really want their input on and do a follow-up to that podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm working around other people's schedules, and so we're just going to go ahead with this one. If we're able to do that, then this will come after. I don't know, but I do think that this one might be connected to that somehow. And Switching Gears was a podcast about when we're asking you to do something, how it is that you can become overwhelmed. So we're asking you to help build the place out back. How that was a struggle for you because of the schedule, because of the work, your days of work and what have you, and how you need downtime.
Yeah. And
how it was just kind of it's just a difficult situation for you. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if this is similar to don't you laugh at me, similar to that or not, but it feels like it to me. But I want your take on it. This happened today, and it felt the same. So maybe it's just my reaction. But anyway, when you're asked to do something, and I was going to say there's no really and. When you're asked to do something, you're very specific on how you want something done. So what I need help with from you, and I'm assuming that other people might benefit from you explaining this. Today you were asked to put a flat tire that you had into the back of the truck. And it got Dad really frustrated because often what will happen is he will ask you to do something that in his mind seems very simple. And it's not simple to you. Can you explain why that doesn't feel simple?
In this case and in other cases like that, it's not that simple because I don't know. There are not outside, but there are multiple factors that I don't know and that I don't always know how to ask for.
For clarification?
For any information.
Okay. So this time, you had a flat tire.
Yes.
And Dad took it off of your car. You took it off. I wasn't out there. So, okay, cool. Yeah. So you helped him. Both of you took the tire off your car.
Yes.
He had asked you to put it in the back of his truck so you could take the tire up to the shop and find out a couple of things. Could it be fixed, or do you need a new tire?
Right.
He just asked you to put the tire in the back of the truck because then you were going to go and take the truck to the shop. So the tire needed to go into the back of the truck. I really... I want to understand. I'm laughing because I'm not laughing at you. I want you to know that. I'm laughing because I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Why, how is that complicated?
What? Why? How?
Why?
That in and of itself is not complicated. The questions that I was trying to ask that were not coming together to be asked were what was what made things so difficult, or even not even asked, but Mercury is retrograde, you said? Oh my gosh. So I had gotten a flat tire. It was my right rear tire on my car.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely flat.
Mm-hmm.
We had been able to, what was it called, the patch? So is that the word?
Dad doesn't like those in general, but
Yeah.
just to get it to safety, it was like a fix-a-flat kind of a thing.
Mm.
It was at a gas station. Yeah, just something to hold you over until it could get home and and you're safe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it didn't work. It did work. You got home
at the time, but then
the car was sitting in front of the house.
Yeah, and then this morning we don't know who noticed it, but the tire was completely flat again, and so I had actually looked up different places to get a replacement tire and all that stuff.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I had mentioned that to you about different, and I didn't know you did it.
Yeah.
And and that's amazing. And I don't understand why some things just click and you're able to do that. Another thing, I just don't... Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted. I'm sorry. It's really cool that you did that, though. You went online and found out
different places around here
to get a new tire.
Stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what was part of what was difficult was that I didn't know if it would cause any differences while driving. I didn't know if I would need to get 2 wheels, all 4 wheels. I didn't know. I still don't really know, but we only got 1.
So to let you know, you typically, what we do is we replace all 4 tires at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Your tires, the tread that's on it is what they go by.
Mm-hmm.
And the tread on your tires is very thick. They're nice tires. There's nothing wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a situation like this, there's not really anything, and the amount that you drive, there's not really any problem with you replacing the one tire because the other tires are still of equal quality.
Okay. And that wasn't something that I was able to verbalize.
Okay.
To ask, and so I wasn't able to get that answer, and it was stressing me out, and it was frustrating me, and anyway, we got the tire off the car. Dad asked me to put it in the bed of the truck. So I tried to lift it up. It had been in a puddle all night, and it was flat, and it was heavy. Wouldn't bounce, wouldn't roll, because it was flat. I tried to pick it up, and it was heavy. And because it was all muddy back there, I couldn't say that, because I had difficulty saying it. It was muddy back there. It was going over a couple of curbs to get to the truck. I was able to ask Dad, "Hey, can you just back the truck up to the car or whatever?" And
from my understanding, he was already off going on to the next step, and so that didn't happen.
I guess. I don't know. But
so in that situation, this is specifically what I'm asking you. What we look at a situation, everybody does look at a situation from their own point of view, from their own, past experiences, for their own, the way that they think and think things through. Is it possible for you to be able to express yourself in a situation like that happens often with you and your dad? Where you're able to express yourself with him and get how you feel across? Or do you feel like there's too much going on all at once to be able to do that, or what?
Whenever Dad is either trying to help me with something or asking for my help for something, there's a lot of almost a disconnect, but not because of anything bad.
Okay.
It's because you said this a few minutes ago, that he's so many steps ahead already.
Yeah.
Thinking ahead so many steps already.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not communicated well enough for me to be there with him. So it's my understanding that it's frustrating to him to have to stop his thought process and go back a few steps to where we're at. That's one side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that on my end, I don't know where it's supposed to go. I don't. In general, I'm saying in general for him and I working on things. That.
Will you say it again?
I'm saying that this is in general for him and I working on things together, or trying to work on things together.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily this instance, but
Okay, so not this tire, but just overall,
yes.
you kind of have these difficulties communicating with one another.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
Because he knows what he's doing. He's planning multiple steps ahead already. So it's frustrating for him to have to stop and come back to me where I don't know what the steps are. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. From the outside looking in, because I wasn't out there when you two were trying to, when you two were taking this tire off and you were getting prepared to go, what ultimately meant you bought a new tire. You had to get a new tire.
Yeah.
So I'm not there, but I understand exactly what happened. And then it happened again when we were moving something. You and I were moving something outside just a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
From I think this is accurate with him. I know that this is the way it is with me. There are times that it feels like that something feels simple. Let's just do this thing. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. We're moving this from here, we're moving it to there.
Mm-hmm.
And even something that simple, we can't do, even though we've just said what's going to happen, because we can do our very best that this is a simple task. Let's just move this painted baseboard inside so it's not outside overnight to be damp with dew.
Mm-hmm.
And when it seems very simple to us, it looks like it's painful for you. We've talked before on a podcast how it gets frustrating on our end. It does get frustrating to never... Nothing is simple. Even the most simple things that seem simple to us are not simple.
I get that. I get that.
Yes.
That example you just gave of let's move the wet baseboards in there so they don't get wet.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. That's fine. How is it you want it to fit in there? How do you want it placed? Do you want it facing the front? Do you want it facing the back? How?
Sure. Well, after we set that up, after we explained it, the process of moving them seemed...
It was difficult for me because the first one that we moved,
mm-hmm.
Dad was saying, we can't have them bend. Okay. I'm holding from the middle. I was about halfway between the middle and one end with using two hands spread apart. And I pick that end up. You're holding the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to move backwards. And I'm not able to see what's on the ground behind me, and it's very stressful for me not to see that, especially when there's all kinds of stuff scattered around the ground.
There were, correct. Was there any other way that you could see to do that? Could you have asked me to switch ends? Could you have gone further down to your end so that you then go around on the far end that you were going to, and instead of pulling it toward you and walking backwards, you go to the end so you see where you're walking. Once you get past, and what you're talking about, I know, we have a fig tree that's cut way back. Yeah, pretty much. That's cut way back.
Mm-hmm.
That it would be in your way.
Yeah.
I understand that completely. Just beyond that, there was a stack of a little stack of bricks.
Yeah.
That we've been working with.
And the pups use the backyard.
We had cleaned all that up.
But I didn't know that. Until a little bit later, I don't think.
No, okay.
I forget the timing of that, whatever.
I don't know.
It's all overwhelming to have that happen, and have all that stuff out there, not be able to see where I'm stepping, especially when it's a little bit wet on the outside on the ground.
Oh, because it had rained, and then it stopped, and Dad stained the baseboards and the crown molding.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that we were moving. They were not heavy.
Right.
They were a little bit tacky. They were wet underneath a bit where we were touching around the edges where it had dripped under.
Yes.
But it was mainly the part that he had painted was just tacky.
Right. It was difficult for me to move them because he didn't want them to bow or whatever.
So.
And so it was, that was another difficulty. Part of it was trying to make it so that it wasn't going to bow severely in the middle while moving it. And it was that first one that we moved. It was very difficult for all those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
As well as I am worried about hitting the things that are like the ladder that was outside the door and running into those. I'm it's not, even if it may look like a non-issue from the outside, it's an issue to me.
Of course. I'm not doubting that at all. I'm not doubting that at all. Because I can see that, but I want to understand it, first of all, because it looks like you're so uncomfortable. And I would say, too, that I bet that people that don't know you, if they ever saw this, would seem like you were just not wanting to help.
Right.
Which is the opposite of who you are.
Right.
I've said this before, that sometimes it's so frustrating to just feel like something is very simple and then have to stop what's happening and have a conversation. It's just, not the conversation is bad, but when a simple direction is given, or so we think it is, and in our minds, we're just trying to let's just do this before it gets dark.
Yeah.
Let's just do this before it gets dark. Get these in there, real quick.
Yeah.
Josh, appreciate your help. You get on one end, I get the other end. Dad's in there, gonna,
yeah,
organize them once we get them in. And it's sometimes a surprise, the things that sometimes it's a surprise that what seems to us to be like a non-issue, like a non-thing, just simple, let's do this, let's get it done, requires you do a lot of grunting and groaning and wait, what, it's like, and I'm like, what? What? And it's a process. I think sometimes you're not actually talking to me, but
sometimes I don't realize I'm making noises.
Yeah.
Other times I'm trying to find the right words, and it's
yeah.
That.
Yes, and Dad made a point today, going back to the tire, and I made a point too with you, is that whenever a situation like this happens and you're getting very frustrated and Dad needs something done and you're not doing it, so he just does it.
Yes, and that's what happened with the tire, yes.
And there's this thing that then happens, that you get upset with him. And he's feeling like, look, you don't don't get upset with me just because I did something that you just wouldn't do. It needed to be done. I did it. It's just done.
Which is frustrating to me because that's not my thought process at all.
Okay, what's your thought process? What is it?
That you're asking me to do something. I'm trying to verbalize something that I'm having extreme difficulty putting into words. And before I can get anywhere with it, he does it.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm trying to make us with him, he's constantly in pain.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to be. Or at least any more than he already is.
Well, sure.
And so
I get what you're saying. You get upset that he moved something that you know he's already hurting so bad, and could that tweak it and just make it so he can't move the next day? Yes, everything is a possibility. He's got 9 bad discs in his back. I mean, that's just yes, he's in pain all the time. Here's what happens with him on his side of it is he's just so sometimes tired of hearing that he's doing something wrong, of hearing that no, that's not going to work because of this, no, you can't do this because of that, no, not right now. And he's like, it's exhausting, and I'm not wrong. And I think that's what happens, is that initially you're having a difficult time. He's not coming at you as if you're, I don't know what feeling you might be having, but
pressured and panicked.
It's certainly not his intention. At the same time, he gets exhausted by hearing back that essentially he's wrong for what he's doing.
What's another frustrating thing
Mm-hmm.
is that I'm not straight up telling him you're wrong about this. It's that I'm asking for him to please explain this so that I can understand it in a way that I can understand it. And
I get what you're saying, Josh, but when he tries to, a lot of times you tell him, no, that's not right. No, that's not going to work. No, it's not going to happen that way. No, it can't work that way. And he's like, I'm telling you. He's standing there going, all I want is the tire to get in the back of the truck. That's all I want. What's happening? And in the meantime, you're getting elevated. You're getting upset. It's back to him not knowing what you need in a situation, at the same time wanting to feel okay himself without getting frustrated and without feeling like, because that does happen, Josh. I think that that's to be honest, that's part of this, is that you get elevated, and the way it comes out is that we're not doing something right. Let me rephrase that. It feels like that's what you're saying. Now, do you disagree with that?
I don't know. I
don't?
lost track.
Okay. Okay. Here's what I wanted to ask you about today. So we've talked before about us feeling like you can't get anywhere. Because it does feel like this sometimes. It's your way all the time. All the time. It's got to be the right time, the right words, the right approach, the right everything. And I say that, I don't mean that to be mean. I'm saying that that's how it feels sometimes. And I'm just saying it can feel exhausting. Okay?
Okay.
Very frustrating. So by the time something small might come up to put the tire in the back of the truck, the feeling is, why does there have to be conversation about it? Just put the tire in the back of the truck. What you're saying is, I think you're saying, is there's all kinds of stuff going on with that. It's dirty, it can't roll, it's heavy, it's gross, it's wet.
I'm wearing a new jacket that's not used for working. All kinds of stuff.
And so that painful look that I see in you happens on a regular basis. And if you're finding the words, if you're not finding the words to express yourself, is there anything that we can do? Is there anything that where we can help you to move through a situation, or to not do our very best to not put you in it? Seems like we've talked about this over and over and over and over, and what's happening is we are just so frustrated because we don't want you to be uncomfortable. We think something is simple, but we also don't want to feel like we're
being used.
Not used, but just like it feels like everything we say is wrong to you. It feels like every idea we have, every description of something, that's wrong. That's not going to work. And it goes back to feeling like it's got to be your way. But what I'm saying is, it's because we don't know, we don't see all of those things that you're dealing with.
And I can't say all those things in the given time and at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I'm being told that I need to do something.
Does it ever have any impact? So about the tires.
Mm-hmm.
You've never had to deal with a flat tire. I understand that. There's more to it than just having a flat tire, because that question comes up. Can it be fixed? What do I say to get it fixed? What if the person tells me something I don't understand? What if they give me options and I don't know those answers to those options?
Right.
Again, do we get 1? Do we get 2? Do we get 3? Do we get 4? What is the answer? Besides that, what kind do we get?
Right.
And what's the cost? And is that cost reasonable or it's not?
Right.
All of those things I understand could be, in this particular case, a concern. So I tried to give you some relief by telling you, Dad will go with you. He will take you there. And he's done this before, and he will show you how it's done. And he will show you what's involved. So you didn't have to take on that. There are some things that I get are so stressful. And when I see those things that are stressful for you, I really try to help you to experience them in the easiest and softest way possible, right? Kind of like in this case.
And it's not to coddle me, it's to make sure that I understand everything and learn it.
And also like a little buffer, so the stress of it is off of you, well, for you to be able to observe and see how it's done.
Right.
Right. What happens, I'm talking about specifically, is those things that happen in our relationships here at home, where we think something is simple, yet it's not. And we keep getting tripped up on this, and we keep feeling like, excuse me, we keep feeling like, oh, come on, just do it. And you're saying, no, that won't work. And we're going, why won't that work? Sometimes you verbalize that, and sometimes you don't. but I see the look on your face. And I see that it's uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
So what can we do? Or is it just something that's so broad and each situation that comes up is different? Or is there a way for me to understand better what you need in those kinds of situations?
I don't know what you're asking.
Okay, I don't know what trips you up.
Okay.
You described the tire,
Mm-hmm.
that it was dirty, and it had been in water.
Yeah.
And you're wearing a new hoodie.
Yeah.
In my mind, would you have just gone in and changed your hoodie?
Yeah. I would have. I didn't get a chance to either way, though. That's not the only part of the issue. I know that wasn't the only part of the issue.
Okay.
I remember after the fact thinking, that's right, I do have my new hoodie on. At the time, it didn't really register of that.
So that wasn't part of the issue?
I think it was a tiny part of it, because I was I'm not saying it right because I don't know the words.
Okay.
Whenever Dad asked me to move the tire into the back of the truck, I still didn't know at the time if it was even possible to fill up the spare tire, which I have in my car, which is also flat but not a whole flat. As in, like, it doesn't have a hole in it to make it flat, it's just empty. I was still trying to find out, can I fill that up, put that where the flat is, and then drive my car there to get it fixed. To get the tire fixed if it could be fixed. I was still trying to find that stuff out. So I'm not able to put things into words right in the moment.
Okay. I think a lot of people are that way.
But for me especially, that's been the case in my life, is that whenever I'm in the moment, on the spot, I can't always find the words. I can't put into words what needs to be said or asked or anything like that. And so it's...
So had you known the bigger picture, so let's say you had all of those questions answered, and Dad asked you to put the tire into the back of the truck.
Yes.
Would you have been able to do that? If I could have asked him, or whatever, I don't know, because it would have changed things. Especially because... Yeah, I'm not trying to frustrate you, and I think that this is like this conversation goes a lot of times exactly what I'm talking about, is that but it's in the moment, and in the moment we're not trying to upset you. We're not trying to, blindside you with something.
Right, and it's never a thing about me being upset or angry or anything like that. It's never that kind of upset.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrated.
Right.
It's the
and the part of it that frustrates us is frustrating to us in the situations that we find ourselves in, is that we don't know what the missing piece is. We don't know what blank we have to fill in order for this to make sense,
right.
in order for this to click and come together for you.
Right.
So a lot of times the conversation that I'm talking about specifically, we are asking questions in efforts to, and saying stuff in efforts to help you to feel secure in what we're doing.
Right.
That you have enough information to move forward comfortably.
Right. And it's not always about asking the right questions. Sometimes sometimes it's about giving me time to try and process how to ask what I need to ask, or find out what I need to find out.
So your dad is not somebody that sits still.
Exactly.
Ever. He's moving. He's going to always do something. I mean, So
even if I had said, let me change my jacket, I would have come back out. He would have already moved it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I hear that. And if it had not been made clear to him, I'm going to do this, Dad. I have a new jacket on. Let me go change it first. Those words might have clicked.
He might still have put it in the truck, but they might have clicked. Yes,
it might have clicked. The frustration comes in where he's trying so hard to help you to be comfortable in a situation, and it ends up where it seems like you're mad at him. And he's trying to find a way for that to change. You're saying you're not mad at him, it's frustration. I think that's a good thing for you to let him know. That you're not mad at him. You're frustrated with the situation.
Yeah.
Because he's feeling like, what am I doing? What am I not doing? What am I... Yeah. I mean, I asked him, one time he told me, he goes, I stood there for 20 minutes and talked to him and worked through what was happening, and it still didn't go anywhere.
There are times where it just doesn't click. What he's explaining does not click.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he even tries to put things in different words. That can usually help, but it doesn't help if it doesn't click.
So
that I'm not understanding things.
Right. And so the reason I said that this might, to me this feels like it's similar to the podcast that we did that was called Switching Gears.
Mm-hmm.
Is because you're doing something that's out of ordinary. It's out of your regular routine. So, and yes, there were two things that were asked of you today. One of them was, hey, let's get this tire down and get it either fixed or a new one.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was, hey, these things got painted. Can you get one end while Mom gets the other end? We'll bring it in, I'll guide you in and get it placed.
Yeah.
And both of those things were out of the ordinary for you.
They were both in the to use the words of the previous podcast, they were in the gear of the same kind of gear, but that I had been in to work and everything. But there were variables that I didn't know that were tripping me up.
So let's...
And that I was trying to find out, but I could not verbalize.
Okay. And sometimes our conversations, I think that I'm goofing up because I give you information and I think I'm helping you, but it's actually not helpful information. There are times when I talk, I'm like, hell, he needs conversation. Okay, I'm going to tell him we're going to do this, lay everything out. And then you're like, that's not helpful.
Because
I'm like, what?
In this podcast so far, there have been a couple times where you say, so my question is, and then you go in a conversation.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
And you drag out the question. I'm like,
you're right.
I'm not following this. What is the question?
Yes. Like, is there a question there?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then when you finally get to
correct.
the question, you break it up.
You are correct, sir. Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's not necessarily that it's a who's at fault kind of thing at all.
Right. Sure.
I can only process so much.
Yeah.
And while it is helpful, trying to explain everything is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But it's not always going to be retained helpful.
This is where it does get confusing to me, because if I tell you what's going to happen, then you're really more comfortable taking one step at a time.
I think that, like, if you can... Let me try and do a recent thing then.
Okay.
So, long-term goal, finish up the shed thing, whatever we're calling it today. So that would be the long-term goal, right?
Yes.
The monthly goal, the weekly goal, the daily goal. All those are good things to know, yeah. But they don't help me too much in the now. Because even if it's the daily thing of what you want to have accomplished by the end of the day, that's good to know, yeah. But what steps do I need to take to get there?
But if I told you the steps that you need to get there,
telling me all of those steps at the one point won't be helpful.
So I can't give you all the steps, but you want all the steps.
No.
You don't want all the steps.
Telling me the daily goal,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine.
Okay.
Not all the steps to get there.
Okay.
At most 2 steps starting at the beginning, or where I'm at. That's helpful.
It's so funny because I get what you're saying, is that you always want to know something ahead of time. You don't like surprises. And so when
it's
not
even surprises really, it's the unexpected change.
Right. So asking you to help to take these baseboards into the shed, well, basically it's your hangout, so I guess you can call it whatever you want. We will take pictures of that and put it up on the website too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we'll do that. Because this is being built for you. This is being built for your escape.
Yeah.
It's so that you have a place to go when the kids are here, so that you have a place to go whenever you need to be alone.
Yeah.
It's going to have a refrigerator. It's going to have a toaster oven, a microwave.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to have a chair, comfortable recliner for you.
Yeah.
Your desk, probably.
Yeah.
So this is a place for you. So it is most definitely designed for you to be as comfortable as you can be during the day. You don't like loud noises. You don't like a bunch of commotion. You don't like TV. You don't like the sound of the kids.
No.
Especially Connor got drums, so you want to get as far away from the drums as you can.
Yeah.
Yes, I get all that. So, okay. When
You can. Let me try and break it down then. If you give me a list of goals, that's fine. If I want to know more about how each of those goals are going to happen, I'll ask. Because I know at this point in my life to ask how to get there to each of those goals.
okay.
But for me to for me having every step explained at once will not work, because my mind will not retain it. I will not be able to follow it.
And is it a big factor because even though it's a small job, even though it's just these things were very, very light. They're a baseboard. Their crown was super light.
Mm-hmm.
They were long though, so it took two of us.
Yes.
Okay. The fact that that's something that is not in your typical day, was that disruptive to you? That it was not a routine? Or what?
Go ahead.
Is it okay because you knew that was coming?
I don't know. I don't know. Today's been weird.
Yeah. I was gonna say, dude, if you don't know, I don't know.
Yeah. Today's just been really weird. I'm here, but I'm not.
I mean, I will say this. You dealing with a flat tire today was an ordeal.
Yeah.
Because it was something that we were familiar with. It was something you're completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you were worried about it. I don't know if you were, if you weren't.
Yeah.
I'm not really quite sure where you were at with that. I just know that when it came time to the actual necessary movement of getting that tire to the shop to get it looked at, it looked like it felt very daunting to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
There's
that look. We're done.
I'm just overwhelmed.
Okay.
I really am.
Okay.
And
Okay.
It's. I can handle a question or two more, but not much.
That's okay, honey. We don't have to do any more. I'm trying this whole the whole ideas. Again, I feel like we've covered some of this before, maybe exactly this stuff before, but it's relevant to us now, here and today. And that feeling is that what seem to us simple tasks, you are dealing with far more than we can even imagine. And then you get frustrated with the situation, then you get frustrated with us, and then we get frustrated with you. And it's been a day of kind of like, that didn't need to be that difficult.
No, but it's along the same lines of clean your room.
Yeah.
It really is. To me, that's along the same kind of lines. Because put the thing in the tire. Yeah, that's fine. But there's a lot of other things that I need help with to.
It just seems you don't. We can be done because I know that you've had enough, and this is
I'm
fine.
I'm trying to be
No, I know.
helpful and everything.
I know, honey. It's just the whole thing is very daunting.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't know if this was connected to the conversation we had before that was like, well, you're doing something and you got to switch gears and do something else.
No.
Is this similar to that or no? Because you weren't being pulled away from something. These were things that you knew were going to happen.
Right.
And we tried to make them as specific as possible.
Yes.
We also tried to make it as comfortable as possible that this is what happens.
Yeah. And the tire thing, last night, you had made sure to remind me, hey, I'd like for you to help take care of your tire tomorrow, which was today. And
Yep.
so that did help bridge that that unexpectedness, I guess.
Yep. I guess what we just seem to be getting stuck on is what are we missing and what are we not providing for you to be able to be more comfortable in those situations. And we're also asking you, what is it from your point of view? And it would be, what we're saying is there a way to be, to move forward, to not feel like it feels like from your point of view everything we do is wrong? That's what it feels like.
To you guys?
Yeah. Like, no matter what we do, no matter what we're trying to, it's not because you're being belligerent or mean or disrespectful, but it's a tone, and it's I think because you're frustrated and you're saying, like, putting it back on us, like, well, Dad didn't do this or Dad did this. I'm like, well, just trying to make it through without feeling like we failed every day or feel like we're being
attacked.
Yeah, every day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want for all of us to figure this out. So if this is redundant, it's because it is redundant. It is really something that we're still dealing with. But I know that we're hopefully about to get some help. I said that the other podcast, there's a couple people that I really want to see if they can be on the podcast or maybe through email go back and forth and help us to understand if they have some insight.
Yeah.
And their schedule will provide for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know, but I can tell you're totally wiped out. So let me just say this, that I am so proud of you today for looking up the cost of tires, for looking up where you can get the tires, because that was proactive. You were aware and taking action that needed to be taken to find out what you needed to do. So I wish we could bottle that part. You know what I mean? So that because I know that feels good to you. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. The bottom line, that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And the other stuff that we talk about is frustrating for all of us. But it doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, and it doesn't mean that you've come up short, and it doesn't mean that anybody is disappointed in you. We're just trying to figure out a way to do this so we're not frustrated as often.
Yeah.
And that's us included. But I'm really proud of you for doing that. So I just want to leave it there so you know that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will also admit that one of the guys I played D&D with mentioned that there was a local place that I might be able to get tires at, and that helped implant it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To think about it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And
cool.
so that led to that, I think. But
very good.
yeah.
All right. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us again. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your messages that you've been sending. Please check us out. It's sonyaking.com, sonyaking.com, and we're about to revamp everything. We're putting up some new pictures. We're got a surprise for you, Josh, that you don't even know about yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But so we're gonna put up some new pictures of us. We're gonna put up so this place in the back. What would you like to call it? The shack.
No.
The shed. Your house. Your
I don't know.
tiny house. your
No.
escape room.
That has a different. That's a different thing.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, we
Yeah.
won't call it that.
Yeah.
We won't call it the escape room. So yeah.
Panic room, maybe.
Yeah. Panic room. We will show pictures of it though.
Yeah.
This has been built for you, just
Yeah.
for you to be able to go and find the.
It's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah. So we're gonna take some pictures of that, put those up. So, but yeah, we're revamping the website, and I'm hopefully gonna put up some new things as well. I do want to mention too, for people that are listening, if you give us your feedback on this, just we're considering beginning to put up an audio podcast. I'm sorry, video podcast on YouTube.
It'd be kind of hard to have just a
to watch an audio. Well, yeah, so
No,
that
yeah.
we would tape the podcast that we do, and people would be able to see us doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And therefore, people will be able to get your looks at me, like that you give me on a regular basis, like that I'm ridiculous. Yep.
Because you are.
Well, see.
No.
So, yeah, and here's good feedback. What do you think? Would you guys watch that if that was an option? And I think we're going to head that direction. But we're really working on improving what we do, the content, the quality, and just consistency is paramount.
Yeah, and I guess part of it is I think I've heard of some people just listening to it while they're driving or something like that.
Yeah.
And so.
But some people really like to watch it.
Yeah.
So it's been.
Just feedback.
Yeah, it's been a couple of people have asked me if we would do that. So I'm really thinking about it. So anyway, let us know. You can reach us at that website that I gave you, sonyaking.com. And if you like what we're doing, please give us 5 stars because it helps us to be seen easier by more people. It helps in, I guess there's a ratings. I don't know, but just if you give us 5 stars, if you
helps us be more visible to more people.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you everybody so much for hanging out with us. We hope that you're healthy and happy, and we'll talk to you next week. Love you.
Bye.